Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you happen to be watching. Welcome to the Six Bugle Podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Ruiz, and today we have a very special guest, VC the MC, Vince Croci. Vince, how are you?
Rudy, I am fantastic. I'm excited to be joining you today.
All right. Well, we Vince and I have known each other for quite some time now. We're kind of running in the same marketing and networking circles. And I told him I'm hosting a podcast and I'd like to have him on the show. And he's like, what can I do? What can I get from me? I thought, oh, I'm sure you got a world of advice for our audience. And so I wanted to have him on just to kind of share some of his insights because he's been around for a while and they come from the business world. But being familiar with large groups and audiences and being able to conduct large events and making sure that those events flow smoothly, he kind of learned on his own, and this is his niche now. So Vince, tell me, how did you get started doing this?
Well, Rudy, I got in my 50s, became an empty nester, and kind of thought about what do I want to do when I grow up. I've been in the medical sales arena, pharmaceuticals, and medical devices for most of my life. But kind of when I stopped and looked back at what I'd done back in high school, I was a yell leader and I was involved with assemblies. And in college, I did a thing called the Raft Regatta, and I announced people floating cardboard boats down the 10
Okay.
Mile Creek at the University of Toledo. I've been involved with nonprofit organizations where I just was kind of like given the mic and say, hey, Vince, can you take care of this or that? My daughter played volleyball in high school, and I was the public address announcer there. And I looked at all those things, and it was just like, you know what I really enjoy doing when somebody gives me a microphone and I help at an event. So I thought, is there a business doing that? I don't know. And looked in public address announcer and master of ceremonies. I thought, okay, well, I guess that's my niche.
Yeah.
So I got a website, some business cards, bought a couple speakers and a microphone, and went into business, I guess. And I came up with the name Vince Croci, the Master of Ceremonies, and condensed it to VC the MC. So that's where my brand and logo came from, and uh, just kind of build up slowly. I still have my full-time profession, and I call this my fill time. And I feel like I'm meant to do both. So it brings me a lot of fulfillment that I can continue to live a nice lifestyle, but do what I really enjoy doing. And that's adding a little bit to an event, be it a 5K race, be it a major business meeting, be it a fundraiser, whatever the case. I enjoy being a part of it. So
Right.
that's how I got here.
That's great. And you're like all over the tri-state area, yeah?
Yes, I've focused here in the Northwest Ohio area, but I've been up to Traverse City, Michigan for a race. I've done a wedding announcements in Indiana. I'm willing to go anywhere though. So if
Right.
you want me to come out to California, or I've got a daughter overseas, I'll go to Europe. Uh, I can't speak any other languages, but if you need an English speaking MC, I can go anywhere.
Right, right. Hey, well, we're all over the world, so we might get somebody to give you a call and say, "Hey, you need to come out here to Europe and host our event." Well, that's great. And I remember when we first talked, I said maybe we can have you on the show. And first question out of your mouth was, "What can I offer them?" And it's, oh, that you could offer a world of information. Mainly because what we try to do here at the Six Bugle is try to make sure that our listeners, mainly fire service administrative assistants, have resources so that they become more valuable to their organization. Obviously, they're valuable to the fire chief and to the firefighters and even to the communities that they serve. But we want to give them with provide them with more tools so that in their toolbox so that they can provide more services for the organization and be more resourceful for the chief and for the organization. So, and I thought there's a lot of events that we typically have, and I know usually I was the one doing all the emceeing and running around and making sure everybody was in their place and everything was in order. And man, that's exhausting. So I would have loved to have a guy like you kind of hosting the event. So but I do have a couple questions for you. uh, Many of our listeners here organize department awards ceremonies, retirement dinners and memorial services, events with deep emotional weight. How would you adapt your MC approach for ceremonies that honor service members or that deal with a loss? What advice would you give administrators who might be nervous about speaking at these meaningful events?
Well, when it comes to an event like that, if it's somebody coming from the outside like myself that's integrating into the event, I think it's important to find somebody that invests themselves in it. What is the vision of that organizer? What do they want the audience to come out of from that event? And what do they want as an organizer and who's ever sponsoring it or putting it on? What do they see? What does success look like? Communicating that to the outside person and making sure that person does it. I like to think of myself as an energetic, entertaining, engaging guy and want to have that in an event. But sometimes, like you said, if it's more solemn or thoughtful, that you turn it down a notch and get into
Sure.
that wavelength. Recently, I did one. It was called A Ride of Silence. It was recognizing individuals that had been killed in roadways by motorists,
Hmm.
and so they have this big bike ride, and they didn't want any music. They wanted me to keep it very simple and not say a
Right.
whole lot. Introduce the individual that was going to read off the names. So that was much different than other
Sure.
events I met at where, hey, we've got the music going, I'm making jokes and all that.
Right.
So
Right.
make sure that person does it. The second part of your question, if the individual, maybe there's not an MC, this executive assistant or a fire chief or somebody from the department is doing it, and that they're maybe nervous about speaking in front of people, I always tell people it's like, most likely you're the expert. You know what you're going to be talking about. You know what you're sharing. You know what
Right.
you're doing better than anybody else there. So nobody's judging you on your content of what
Sure.
you're getting. And then secondly, to look at it, don't look at it as the 1,000, 110 people out there. Look at it like I'm talking to one person. What am I sharing here? What's this speech? What's this introduction? What does it have to do? So realize that more than likely you're the expert that's speaking, and have it a conversation with one person in the
Right.
audience. Think of somebody you know that's out there, and speak to them, and more than likely you're going to nail it. So don't make the what you're doing bigger than what you're doing.
Right. And I often tell people that when they tell me they get nervous when they're speaking in public. And I always say, have a family member or friend in the front row that's constantly smiling at you, because when you smile, you're receiving that oxytocin and giving that energy. And at the very least, you can just look at that individual and to focus on what you need to do. And then you feel a little bit more comfortable. I think Jerry Seinfeld said people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of dying. So
Mhm.
that would mean they would they would rather be in the casket than being the one talking about the about the
Yeah.
deceased, right?
Yes, and I've heard that quote too. And that's the thing is you look at that audience and you think they're all looking at you. And if they are, they're thinking it's like, well, I'm not the one up there. So
Right,
they're
right,
already respecting the fact that you're the one doing it, and they're breathing that nicely that they're not the one that has to
right,
do it. So
right,
you just go in, hey, and it's a confidence thing. Usually, if you're getting way out of your comfort zone, it's like, hey, you got to give a speech on something you know nothing about. Okay, that's going to be tough, but
yeah,
for what you're talking about here, Rudy, and the individuals listening to this, they're they're probably more in the middle of what's going on
mhm,
than anybody, and they know more about that particular event, the people that are in attendance that are putting it on. So they're the experts. So
right,
go up there with that confidence.
yep, you're right. And that brings me to my second question. You emphasize time management while maintaining energy and engagement. Our fire service administrative assistants run community events, open houses, fundraisers while coordinating multiple departments and vendors behind the scenes. What are your top strategies for keeping events flowing smoothly when juggling multiple moving parts and unexpected challenges?
Well, and that's where having somebody in the capacity as an MC, or you touched on it earlier, that the other term you can use is event host. That is different. If you have let's say one of these executive assistants that's been doing all the legwork of pulling an event together and putting the agenda together and the people and organizing everything, and then has to go up on stage and manage that while their director of operations and being the event host.
Right.
That's a lot to put on the table. Or
Right.
to have somebody go up that's not invested in being the host and working as the right hand person to whoever did organize. So that's where, if you can find an MC, either somebody like myself that designates himself as an MC, or a lot of communities will go to local radio or TV personalities that are used to being in crowds and let them manage. And how I look at it is, okay, I expect there to be adversity or some problems or hiccups to go, and to just be able to say, okay, this is going to happen, and I'm going to handle it with poise.
Mm.
You go for perfection, but don't expect it.
Right.
As I'm sure firefighters know all the time, it's like, hey, we have a plan, we're going to do this, but something changes. You
Mhm.
can't panic. You can't say, oh, let's start over. No, let's keep moving. We will adjust. And just
Right.
having, again, that confidence that this is going to happen. Let's go with the flow. Oh, you know what? That last speaker went long. Is there a way? Is there somewhere we can tighten things up? We got to shorten this breakup. Or hey, this speaker, they can go from 15 minutes down to 10
Sure.
with no problem.
Sure.
And just looking at the agenda beforehand, where is the flexibility at? Where are the potential problems, and going with it. So it's, again, investing in what should happen, but be ready for what might happen.
Right. Well, Vince, you've given us a world of information here. How can people get in touch with you if they'd like to have you at their event?
Well, I've got a website, vcthemc.com, and contact information is there. I'm also on LinkedIn, Vince Croci, Croci, if it's not showing up on the screen there, and is Facebook as well. Or
Okay.
just shoot me an email, vince@vcthemc.com. I'd love to help out, and even if it's not as an MC somewhere, if somebody does just have some questions on this and they're putting something together, I've worked with a lot of different types of events and things, would be more than happy just to help develop that event. Or it's like, hey, have you thought about this or that, and give
Right.
some share what I've learned is what I always like to do.
Sounds good. Well, hopefully you'll be attending our event on September 16th to the 19th and or 17th to the 19th, and maybe they can see you show your stuff and be able to be impressed on their own. Because I know for a fact that all the fire departments have events during Fire Prevention Week, and many have open houses along with that. And I remember when I was with my departments, we've always had special events going along with that. And I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to make sure things happen in due time. And it would have been a lot easier if I had had someone like you there kind of controlling things.
Yep, that's part of the job, is the time management, the event host kind of keeping everything going, and that's where it's nice. Where an MC is the right hand man or woman to the person that may be really in charge of the event. The MC may be the face of it at the moment, but we know who's really running it, and just there to help.
Right. Sounds good. Well, we're gonna have this podcast broadcast all throughout the country, so maybe you'll get another trip out of this deal. We'll see.
All right. Well, be happy to help you. And if you do come to Rudy's conference, I'm happy to sign autographs right on your iPhone screen. I've got a Sharpie, and laugh forever. Just pull up a picture of me there.
Okay. And you can show your friends.
Yes.
Vince, I do appreciate you coming on the show with us here today, and I appreciate all you're doing for the community around here in the tri-state area. You're a good man doing good things, and I know you're going to continue to do many good things. So, thank you very much for showing up here on the Six Bugle podcast. So, a quick reminder: don't forget we have our conference coming up here in Perrysburg in September. So, the Six Bugle, it's going to be our fourth year here in Perrysburg. And we have, I think we got 9 states showing up this time, Vince. So that's pretty impressive. And we seem to keep growing.
Well, from what you shared with me about that conference, looks like it'll provide a lot of value. And I would encourage everybody that has been there before. It sounds like you're going to turn it up a notch this year. And for everybody that hasn't been there to come in attendance, you'll pull a lot of value, both from a professional and personal standpoint, from
Right.
everything you shared with me.
And I will tell you the contacts that you put me in are just recently reached out. So we have some coffee dates coming up, and there's maybe some more surprises coming up with some additional speakers. So we're looking forward to that. Vince, thanks again for showing up here on the Six Bugle podcast. Thank you all for joining us here today. We'll see you and take care.
Thanks, Rudy.
You bet.